It's my pleasure now to introduce our morning keynote speaker, William Hammack. He is assistant to the administrator, and his realm is the Office of Afghanistan and Pakistan Affairs. And I want you to note that Afghanistan comes before Pakistan in that title. Because Atikula was telling me that when they made the Chamber of Commerce, the Pakistanis claimed the Pakistan title first, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Chamber of Commerce. Well, here it's Afghanistan, Pakistan. He's a career minister in the Senior Foreign Service. Mr. Hammack joined OAPA after serving in USAID's Bureau for Africa and the Senior Deputy Assistant Administrator. From 2013 to 15, he was Mission Director in Afghanistan. So we have someone who has been through the rigors of on-the-scene work in Afghanistan. We met with Mr. Hammack a few years ago, when he had just become the new mission director, and obviously has his work cut out for him. They've got these major projects, they've got to implement these major projects, they've got to deal with the lockdowns and the insurgency in reducing the possibilities of implementing projects. So we're delighted that you are now here heading OAPA and connecting the on-the-ground scene in Afghanistan with the Washington scene, which is so crucial to the U.S.-Afghanistan program going forward in the future. Bill Hammack led the mission during the country's 2014 national presidential elections and the pivotal political, security, and economic transition at the drawdown. We've had so many drawdown dates that have weakened the U.S. position in Afghanistan vis-a-vis our enemies. Hopefully, we will have some consistency, greater consistency in the future. As USAID Mission Director in India, wow, from 2011 to 2013, that India relationship is maybe as critical as the U.S. relationship, given its regional influences and regional economic prowess. He oversaw an annual $109 million program, introduced a new model of development cooperation, and USAID was really influential in establishing public and private connections between the United States and India. That's the kind of job we want to do here as well, right? And he was Deputy Assistant Administrator in the USAID Bureau for Economic Growth, Agriculture, and Trade. He has dealt with issues of development credit and education. He co-chaired a U.S. government interagency food security task force and served as the USAID representative for the G8 Food Security Experts Group. He managed more than $2 billion U.S. food aid as director of the Office for Food and Peace. He was mission director in Ethiopia, one of the largest USAID posts in sub-Saharan Africa. I mean, we are so happy that you, and it shows the U.S. government and the USAID's attention to the importance of Afghanistan by appointing someone like Bill Hammack to be mission director. I could go on and on. I will not, because it's too long. But we welcome heartily, AACC welcomes heartily the new OAPA Assistant Administrator, Bill Hammack.
So good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for that introduction. Before I begin my formal speech, Jeff, let me just say a word about Afghan time. In my 2+ years in Afghanistan and hundreds of meetings with Afghan colleagues and friends, with one or two exceptions, they all started more or less on time. So I'm not sure we can call this Afghan time, maybe American time. In any case, I would like to thank the Afghan-American Chamber of Commerce for inviting me here to speak today. We're very grateful to Congressman Don Ritter for assembling so many individuals and organizations that truly have the power to make such a tremendous contribution to the stability and welfare of Afghanistan. Ambassador, Deputy Minister, great to see you again, Excellencies. Ladies and gentlemen, if you happen to stop through Dubai last week on the way to this conference, you may have had a chance to attend Exhibition Afghanistan, a 5-day business-to-business and business-to-consumer event designed to help some of Afghanistan's best companies connect with international buyers and increase their sales. The event, which showcased a range of Afghan merchandise, was the result of USAID's partnership with the Afghan government and the Afghan private sector. When people think about development, often they don't traditionally think about expos in Dubai or here in Washington. They often think about the struggles surrounding poverty and humanitarian aid for those impacted by earthquakes, floods, and landslides. But development, as we all know, encompasses so much more than responding to crises. It is about creating opportunities, and I understand this is what you discussed yesterday as well. USAID is working closely with our Afghan government partners, the private sector, and civil society to help to build a state and an economy that can deliver economic security, healthcare, participatory governance, education, and jobs to its people, and in turn address the underlying drivers of violence and extremism. Our work is not just about putting out fires. It's about your and our national security. Although we all agree on the desired outcomes, the question is, how do we get there? As President Ghani emphasized at the Brussels Conference on Afghanistan a few months ago, we can only get there by continuing a sustained dialogue with the private sector. USAID and the private sector in Afghanistan partnership goes back, as we heard, to 2002. USAID recognized back in 2002 that delivering social services and building government capacity is vitally important, but it can only accomplish so much. We can train teachers, build clinics, and support democratic institutions. But without a vibrant private sector, a government cannot meet the needs of its people. It cannot support basic services like healthcare and education. It cannot create enough jobs to support a growing population. The private sector must be a partner if the gains made in the past 15 years are to endure. Partnering with the private sector. We work directly with businesses to support their growth in Afghanistan. We are helping small to medium-sized enterprises grow and employ more Afghans through credit guarantees, business development support, and public-private partnerships. In 2015 alone, for example, USAID helped over 42,000 businesses to grow through loans. USAID has co-invested in 297 public-private alliances, leveraging over $292 million from Afghan private sector partners to help Afghan businesses expand their production, become more efficient, and create jobs. We have seen on the ground what the ambassador mentioned, that Afghanistan is ready for growth. Electricity is a prerequisite for business. Through efforts like the 10-megawatt solar power plant in Kandahar, we are working with Afghanistan's electrical utility DAPS to expand access to power. When complete, this project will serve as a model for how we and the government and the private sector plan to catalyze private sector investment to expand electricity access. Just this past September, in partnership with Afghanistan's Ministry of Energy and Water, USAID organized a 2-day Energy Business Opportunities Conference in Dubai to highlight opportunities in solar, wind, biomass, geothermal, and hydro projects in Afghanistan. The conference served as a platform for connecting Afghan and international investors and financial institutions. We also support exhibitions of the best Afghan businesses and products. In July of this year, 40 Afghan traders participated in the inaugural Made in Afghanistan exhibition in New Delhi, India, organized with USAID support. Last month, with USAID support, 33 of Afghanistan's leading wholesale traders traveled to the India International Trade Fair, India's largest annual consumer goods fair. In February, we will support participation of Afghan exporters at the Gulf Food Fair in Dubai, one of the largest trade shows in the region. We welcome members of this chamber who attend the fair to stop by the Afghan booths to see what they offer and also provide feedback on how these companies can improve their goods and services to make them more competitive in today's market. Agriculture-led economic growth. In agriculture, the backbone of Afghanistan's economy, we invest in Afghan farmers and agribusinesses by supporting specialized loan programs, improving the capacity of farmers to meet international packaging and shipping standards, organizing international agricultural trade fairs, supporting agricultural policy reforms to expand private sector investment opportunities, and exploring simple, low-cost technologies that make Afghan farmers more productive and more profitable. By equipping farmers with skills like grape trellising, we help them to increase production, dramatically decrease losses, and increase farmers' incomes. In November of this year, we extended one of our programs called the Commercial Horticulture and Agricultural Marketing Program, which has facilitated the export of $51 million of fruits and nuts to new regional markets. Under the extension, the program will focus on a wider variety of crops and develop connections with new Central Asian markets. It also will initiate a grant program to enable Afghan food products to meet European import requirements. The regulatory groundwork, as we heard, is extremely important. While working directly with Afghan businesses, we are also supporting the legal and regulatory structures needed to attract investment, working, of course, closely with the Deputy Minister and others throughout the government. For example, USAID facilitated an agreement between MOCI and Turkish Airlines to address the prohibitively expensive cost of transporting carpets to international markets. We're also supporting the Afghan government's vision of Afghanistan as an economic hub, linking Central Asia with South Asia. For example, in partnership with Central Asian countries, the World Bank and other donors, the US government supports the CASA project, which will expand access to electricity, establish a stronger regional energy market, and establish a new revenue stream for the government of Afghanistan through transit fees. USAID has been working closely with the Afghan government this year to facilitate domestic growth of the information and communications technology sector, with the goal of bringing 15 million people online by 2020. Afghanistan can be a hub for Central Asian ICT along a modern-day digital Silk Road. We know that the President has spoke about this. If the region expands existing commercial optical fiber transit routes through South and Central Asia and liberalizes access to fiber networks. I understand the next discussion is going to be about ICT and the use of kind of the open access policy that the government just came out with. This summer, as we heard, the Afghan parliament ratified the country's accession to the World Trade Organization. WTO accession potentially will open the doors to international markets, facilitate transit, resolve trade disputes, and pave the way for increased foreign investment. We look forward to continuing to work closely with the government on actually moving forward on the regulation side. Supporting women entrepreneurs. Woven into all of USAID's work is our support for Afghan women seeking incomes and careers. 36% of our active microcredit borrowers in 2015 were women. USAID supported the design of a line of financial products exclusively for women agribusiness entrepreneurs who struggle to access credit. On a regular basis, we organize forums to discuss how to support Afghan women entrepreneurs and job seekers. For example, just last week, we partnered with the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock to host the first national conference on women in agriculture. When women-owned small and medium enterprises indicated that they were having difficulty navigating how to set up a business, USAID partnered with the Afghan government to create a guide especially geared to the needs of women entrepreneurs. The foundation of development, as we've seen around the world, is education. As the ambassador mentioned, the youth. We're supporting making high-quality primary and secondary education accessible to all Afghans, while also expanding opportunities for ambitious students to pursue higher education in competitive fields in Afghanistan, like business, engineering, medicine, and law. One example, just to let you know, through the USAID-funded Workforce Development Program, this program found jobs and got promotions with salary increases for more than 21,000 trainees over the last few years, 36% of whom were women. The opportunity is there. We've seen it. I've been saying one word a lot today, and that's partnership. When the pundits ponder the trajectory of Afghanistan's economy, they tend to focus on the negative, the drawdown of international forces, insecurity, chronic unemployment, and growing youth bulge. All these problems are real, and they are serious. However, what those pundits leave out is the other side of the equation, a government that prioritizes laying the groundwork for businesses to thrive. These problems will not be solved in a day. We've been working with our partners in Afghanistan for 15 years. That will go on. Our job, and the Afghan government's job, is to make it possible for the private sector to invest, to expand their businesses, to create jobs, and ultimately to reestablish Afghanistan as the beating heart of the new Silk Road. And we've heard that vision many times from His Excellency the President. In conclusion, I wish I could have been in Dubai last week to meet all the fantastic Afghan entrepreneurs displaying their wares at Exhibition Afghanistan. These men and women embody the spirit I've come to love about Afghanistan. Despite all the obstacles in their way, their ambition gives them the ability to foresee what many can't. A future where Afghanistan is known not for conflict, but for concord. A country renowned not for the ravages of battle, but for the quality and craftsmanship of its products. A nation known not for poverty, but for prosperity. Exhibition Afghanistan is not the first, and certainly won't be the last showcase of Afghanistan's potential. Let me just say a quick word. If you have time today, or if you're based here, if you have time in the next several months, would strongly encourage you to stop by the Smithsonian Sackler Gallery's exhibition put in place by Turquoise Mountain. It's an excellent exhibition of what we're really talking about today, which is the history and pride of Afghan skills in craftsmanship. Strongly recommend it. It's really looking at how to support the talented generation of Afghan artisans to hone their skills, start their own businesses, and promote the artistic heritage of their country. USAID will remain a partner with the Afghan government and, of course, with the Afghan people, and to all of you as we strive to achieve this vision. Afghanistan's future, our own national interests, and the world's collective security depend on it. Thank you very much.
just want to thank the OAPA Assistant Administrator for a great speech, and recognize that what he speaks about comes from the heart, and this is not just a job for this man. So thank you. Jeff, I don't know if you listened, but I think we appreciate that what you said comes from the heart, and that this is not just a job for you, and we appreciate it.
Okay, because we're trying to get us back on schedule, Bill, thank you so much for coming this morning. Our two key takeaways I took out of Bill's remarks for us as an organization, both here and in Afghanistan, are, a lot of you guys last night at dinner and during the conference yesterday told Suleiman and Don and I that it's very important to you that we in the United States understand that you're operating functional, profitable businesses in Afghanistan, in spite of everything that's being reported badly in Afghanistan. You're functioning and operating profitable businesses in some of the toughest places to work in the world. And you have huge respect from us for doing that and for your commitment to come here and make sure that we know that. And we will make every effort as an association, and I know Bill will, as the Assistant Administrator and the chief person at AID working on Afghanistan and Pakistan. We will make sure people know that, and that nobody's giving up. And I think our afternoon panel discussion, where we'll talk about the coming of Trump administration in Afghanistan, we'll be able to speak rather frankly about what we know. And I think we have some good things to talk about in that panel discussion that should reassure you and reassure, frankly, a lot of us too, that there's going to be a big commitment from the United States going forward. So, second thing is his partnership proposal to you is real. Aid does not function without partnerships. I mean, that's how they program. They're a contracting agency around the world. They do both priming, but they also look at their primes, who are you bringing in as subs? We want host country organizations working with USAID programs. It's very important to USAID because in the end, our contractor community will be backing out, and it's that sustainable capacity that's been built through the subcontracting mechanisms that's going to be taking over. So, and that's your companies that are going to be doing that. So it's very important. We're very proud that Mauricio Vera came today. He's the small business director for USAID. He's helping a lot of Afghan-American companies that have U.S. offices that want to work in Afghanistan to help them to get contracts from our federal government to do that, and especially from USAID. And they've had great success. Mauricio has taken that office from when I was in USAID. It was a very small amount of money that was being dedicated to that. And it's now a huge amount of money dedicated. I think that just the Washington contracting portion alone for Mauricio is now over 30% of the contracts that are now being given overseas are for small business. That's a huge number. And for Afghanistan, that's going to apply too. The number will be smaller, but it's going to grow over time. So making sure that if you're an Afghan-American company, have offices here, making sure you meet Mauricio, and his staffer will be running a business matchmaking table this afternoon at 3 o'clock. So make sure you stop by and sign up for him. Another hit to make sure you sign up for our matchmaking one-on-ones this afternoon. Those are very important. We had a good turnout yesterday. Okay, Bill, we're going to let you go. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.